The US and Iran are at war. J.D. Vance just left Pakistan after 21 hours of failed peace talks. No deal. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical waterways in the world, through which 20% of the world's oil passes, is still blocked. Global energy prices are still being throttled. Every news channel in the world is covering what is happening, but almost nobody is explaining why. The answer starts not in 2026, not in 2019, not even in 1979. It starts in 1953, with a CIA operation that overthrew a democracy, installed a dictator, and created 70 years of hatred that the United States has never had to answer for. Every fact in this video is documented, declassified, admitted by the US government itself. This is the history they never told you. Most people don't know this, but the United States and Iran were once allies, close allies. For most of the early 20th century, America was actually popular in Iran. Unlike Britain and Russia, who had spent decades exploiting Iranian resources and interfering in Iranian politics, America had no colonial history in the region. Iranians trusted Americans. In the early 1900s, the Iranian government actually invited American financial advisors to help manage the country's economy. America was seen as the honest outsider, the country that wouldn't take advantage. Then came the oil. Britain had been controlling Iran's oil industry for decades through a company called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which would later become BP. The deal was simple and brutal. Britain took the vast majority of the profits. Iran got almost nothing from its own oil. The wealth sat under Iranian soil, pumped out by Iranian workers, and flowed directly into British coffers. By 1951, the Iranian people had had enough. In 1951, the Iranian parliament voted to nationalize the country's oil industry, take it back, give it to the Iranian people. The man behind this decision was Prime Minister Mosaddegh, democratically elected, wildly popular, and about to become the most dangerous man in the world to the British and American governments. Mosaddegh was not a communist. He was not an extremist. He was a secular, Western-educated lawyer and politician who believed in democracy and Iranian sovereignty. Time magazine named him Person of the Year in 1951. The people of Iran loved him. Britain was furious. They organized a worldwide boycott of Iranian oil to strangle the economy. They begged the United States for help. President Truman initially said no. He actually supported Mosaddegh and thought Britain was being unreasonable. Then Dwight Eisenhower became president in 1953, and everything changed. The CIA and British intelligence convinced Eisenhower that Mosaddegh was secretly aligned with communists and that Iran was about to fall to the Soviet Union. There was almost no evidence for this claim. But it was the Cold War, and the fear of communism was enough. Eisenhower approved the operation. The CIA was given the green light to destroy a democracy. The operation was called Operation Ajax, or TPAJAX as it was known internally, and it is one of the most brazen things the United States government has ever done. A CIA agent named Kermit Roosevelt, the grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt, arrived in Tehran with suitcases full of cash. His mission: bring down an elected government in 9 days. Here is what the CIA's own declassified documents say they did. They paid Iranian newspaper editors to print lies about Mosaddegh. They hired thugs to pose as his supporters and commit violent acts to make him look dangerous. They bribed military officials. They paid protesters to riot in the streets. They had agents pose as communists and threaten religious leaders to make it look like Mosaddegh was letting communism spread. It was a masterclass in manufacturing a crisis that didn't exist. On August 19, 1953, the coup succeeded. Mosaddegh was arrested, tried for treason, sentenced to prison, then placed under house arrest for the rest of his life. He died confined to his home in 1967. He never saw freedom again. The CIA installed Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, as Iran's new ruler. He immediately signed over 40% of Iran's oil fields to American companies. The mission was complete. The CIA installed Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, as Iran's new ruler. He immediately signed over 40% of Iran's oil fields to American companies. The mission was complete. The Shah ruled Iran for the next 26 years, and the United States supported him every step of the way. To keep himself in power, the Shah created SAVAK, a secret police force trained and funded by the CIA. SAVAK's job was simple: find anyone who opposed the Shah and destroy them. SAVAK arrested, tortured, and killed thousands of Iranian citizens. Political prisoners were subjected to electric shocks, sleep deprivation, and methods that human rights organizations compared to the worst abuses in the world. Amnesty International reported in 1976 that Iran had more political prisoners than any country on earth. And the United States said nothing. Because the oil was flowing. Because Iran was a strategic ally against the Soviet Union. Because the Shah bought billions of dollars of American weapons. The Iranian people were living under a CIA-backed dictatorship, and Washington called it a success story. By 1979, 26 years of CIA-backed dictatorship had built up a pressure that could no longer be contained. The Iranian people rose up. Millions took to the streets. The Shah fled the country. And in his place came Ayatollah Khomeini, a religious leader who had been in exile and who channeled decades of rage into a revolution that shocked the world. For Iranians, the United States was not an innocent bystander. America had installed the Shah. America had trained his torturers. America had armed his regime. And now America had allowed the Shah to enter the U.S. for medical treatment even after he fled. On November 4, 1979, a group of Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. 52 American diplomats and staff were taken hostage. They were held for 444 days. The United States called it an act of terrorism, and it was a violation of international law. But for millions of Iranians, it was something else. It was the moment they took something back from the country that had stolen their democracy 26 years earlier. The two countries have had no formal diplomatic relations since 1980, that is 46 years without an embassy, without direct communication, without the basic tools of diplomacy that prevent wars. What followed the hostage crisis was 4 decades of proxy wars, sanctions, nuclear standoffs, and escalating violence. In the 1980s, the U.S. supported Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War. Iraq used chemical weapons on Iranian soldiers and civilians. The U.S. knew. They provided the intelligence that helped Iraq target those attacks. Over 1 million Iranians died in that war. In 1988, the USS Vincennes shot down an Iranian civilian passenger jet, Iran Air Flight 655, killing all 290 people on board. The U.S. military mistook it for a fighter jet. The United States never formally apologized. The commander of the ship that fired the missiles received a medal. In 2018, the Trump administration withdrew from the nuclear deal that the Obama administration had negotiated, reimposing crushing sanctions that destroyed the Iranian economy. In January 2026, Iranian security forces massacred thousands of their own citizens during a crackdown on protesters. Trump threatened military action. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed. The Strait of Hormuz was closed. The world's oil supply was throttled overnight. A war that started with a CIA coup in 1953 had finally become an open conflict. J.D. Vance just left Pakistan. 21 hours of talks, no deal. The war continues. Every expert on television will tell you this conflict is about nuclear weapons, about the Strait of Hormuz, about regional power. And those things are true, but they are not the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story is a CIA agent arriving in Tehran in 1953 with suitcases full of cash. An elected prime minister dragged from his home. A dictator installed to protect oil profits. A secret police force trained to torture a population into submission. The United States admitted its role in the 1913 2006 later. The CIA called it, quote, an act of U.S. foreign policy, conceived and approved at the highest levels of government. No apology was ever issued. No reparations were ever paid. No one was held accountable. You are watching the consequences of that decision play out in real time, right now, today. Forbidden's Records exists to tell you the history behind the headlines. If you want to understand what is really happening in the world, subscribe. Because the next chapter of this story is still being written.